Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. A big thank you to all of our loyal fans across the world, and a big hello to our new followers on Roku Worldwide and Amazon Fire. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the Listening Mentor Show. The star of our show is Caroline.heward, and she is truly an expert when it comes to understanding what really makes us tick. She's a certified therapist, and she has helped me so much. She was just helping me backstage with something else. The woman is truly gifted with so much experience, and she's got a huge heart that she's constantly putting herself out there to help other people. So she's here today to help us understand the minefield of political correctness. Welcome, Caroline.
Woohoo! Wow. Thank you so much for an absolutely glowingly lovely introduction. Thank you.
You are so welcome. If you would tell people who are joining us, where are you in the world?
Well, I'm in the UK, in a cold part of the UK, which has actually been quite sunny today. I'm in a place called Doncaster, which is the third city in the country. So we have London being the first, Birmingham being the second, and Doncaster being the third, and I've lived in each one of them.
You've made your way around and you found your happy place.
I have. I've found a place that has a garden for the first time, which is really lovely. And I've also found a very friendly environment and lots of sun when the sun shines.
Well, there's definitely sunshine on your face today, because this can be a kind of a heated topic that people really do get into arguments with. People even stop speaking to one another about how someone feels or what stand they're taking when it comes to politics. So we're going to talk about being politically correct and what that looks like. But before we do, I'd love to have you share with our audience, how can you help people, and who are those people you can help?
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Well, I help people literally bust their stress. How do I do that? Well, we're usually running around complaining about something. It might be a physical ache and pain. It might be that you don't sleep very well at night. It could be that you have a relationship issue. It could be a physical ache and pain like back pain, knee pain, neck pain, throat infections. It could be an eye infection, or it could be eczema. It could be all sorts of things physical. And we tend to look at the symptom and deal with the symptom. And I look at the root cause. I work with root cause therapy and chakra psychology to identify why, what the imbalance is and what's causing the symptom. And I look at your life, what's going on in your life that you haven't addressed. And it's very quick, it's very easy, it's quite painless. And more importantly, it actually works right to the reason that you have that problem. And it's very quick in terms of allowing the person some insight and some awareness and understanding of what's causing their physical, emotional, and mental manifestations. I've been doing this work for 24 years now, and I started doing it when my father passed away in 2000. I went into a depression, and within 6 months, I realized I was in awareness of what had happened to me, and I started looking for solutions. And here I am, almost a quarter of a century later, doing that for other people, helping them solve their problems.
And you do that so well. Fantastic. Thank you. So we were just talking backstage about the fact that at least here in this country, I can't even describe what's going on with our former president, with our current president. And so I choose not to take a side or say anything really. But many people don't feel that way, and they make it known. I mean, we've got people with bumper stickers, we've got people with flags, whether it's out of their car, whether it's in front of their home, and that really annoys some other people. So when we think about freedom of speech, the ability to say what we want, to vote for who we want, how do we navigate that when others don't feel the same way that we feel?
Well, it's an incredibly loaded question, Dr. JACALYN.
Of course it is.
And it isn't just about politics. It's actually about all sorts of things. And I would actually like to look at freedom of speech and the fact that what used to be okay to talk about and have an opinion about and have certain words that we could say way back when I was growing up is now no longer politically, or in inverted commas, PC to discuss or to have a comment or feedback about. And so we have a culture now that is almost intolerant of certain words, phrases, or being described as certain things. So it used to be about politics, and it used to be about that your whether you were voting for one way or the other way, and you were wrong if you were voting for a different party to the person that you're speaking to. But now it's much more about the certain phrases and certain things that you can't say. And one of the things that I have found recently on LinkedIn is that some people don't want to be referred to as he or she. They want to be referred to, I think it's they, or I can't remember what the different ones are, but they certainly don't want to be known as woman or man. They want to be almost non-dominant in terms of any sexual gender, so they don't want to be gender known. And this for me feels very strange, because I'm quite happy to be a her and a girl and a woman and female. But there is a lot of conversation about that's not politically correct nowadays, because children can decide there can be a girl one day and a boy another day, and vice versa. So this is the kind of thing that I wanted to kind of bring up, because when I was born, it was a time where there was a lot of things that weren't very PC, but we laughed. Now it's become very intolerant.
I'm really unpacking what you're saying there, because to your point, it is really, there's a lot involved. And you and I know from the power of elevated listening that when we start judging other people, we're not concentrating, we're not focused, because we're in our mind. And it's interesting because, just a quick segue, I had course, The Power of Listening, you know of this course, and I held it not that long ago. And one of the attendees was so angry at what somebody else was sharing that they were no longer listening. And I thought, it's so interesting, you're taking a listening course, but you're not listening and you're judging. So the point is, it happens all the time. So it doesn't matter if it's politics, it doesn't matter. People get so caught up in what it is that they think that they don't have any space or room. So if you have to go back to being a child, if you think about it, you always talk about a baby and how, babies are curious and they're listening. How do we take our adult mind that's polluted and littered and just filled with so much and go backwards so that we have more curiosity and find more space?
Well, the one way to do it is meditation, to actually empty the mind and empty the space for where the ego resides, and literally become calmer in the mind, to be open to experiences and what people are saying. So when we are cluttered, when there is a lot of conversation going on in the mind, it's really hard to be open to listen, to hear what the other person is saying or how they're showing up. And we do have now a lack of tolerance of people that don't seem to be the same as us, or people that have a different, in England, we have a phrase saying different strokes for different folks. And we seem to have less of a tolerance of people that are different to how we are being and what we're thinking and what we're saying, because now it's a world of many personalities, many individuals being individual, and people wanting to be accepted for who they are. And at the same time, there are judgments coming up. And so when we quiet the mind, we then move into a space of no judgments and being much more open to receive.
And just my opinion, I truly feel like it's a lot of fun to be open and just hear other perspectives. And I haven't traveled that much in my life. I definitely have traveled, but I love when you go to other countries and you see how people are doing things and how they feel. I know I'm very much about curiosity. We do have a comment, by the way, from someone on LinkedIn. Hi, Adrian. Thanks for being here. Adrian wrote, I think it's them or they. And I think that's...
Thank you.
Thank you. So you talked about meditation, and that's another thing, because I'm certified to teach meditation myself, and people will say, I can't meditate. I can't get my mind to quiet down. So I know you do a lot of chanting and dancing and meditation. How do we stop that conversation that I can't meditate, I can't, and then turn it into I can?
Well, I'm going to give you the description that I give anybody that turns around and says to me that they can't do it. And my description is this: I walk in meditation. I talk in meditation. I cook in meditation. I eat in meditation. I dance in meditation. I shop in meditation. I shower in meditation. I put my makeup on in meditation. I take my makeup off in meditation. So that sounds like I'm always meditating, and people are going, no, how does that work? And what I mean by that is I'm totally present. Whatever I'm doing, my head or my mind is not thinking about anything else. I'm literally being 100% present in whatever I'm doing. So even if I'm in a phone call with somebody, I'm 150% present with them. I'm not doing something else. And people feel that. They feel my presence, and they feel relaxed, and they feel the fact that I'm with them and listening to them. And even if I'm having dinner with somebody, it actually makes the time go very quickly, because I'm absolutely with them and not in my phone and not doing something else. And if I do have to check my phone because it's late and I need to just make sure that my mum's okay, I will say, I just need to drop a quick message to my mum because it's getting late, to make sure that I cover myself if I've landed up being out all day. And then I go back to the person. So it's about being fully present in whatever you are doing. And then the mind goes still, it goes silent, and you have a sensory and an in-present experience.
In-present experience. I love that. Yeah, that's
that is meditation.
I mean, you're taking an I can and turning it into an I can. And you have to believe it as well. So once you start practicing and you have that, I think that calm, that sense of peace, then I think that comes out into the world and people recognize that. Do you believe that's true?
Yes, because have you ever had a really nice meal with friends? You've gone out for dinner and time's gone really quickly, and it's like an hour or 2 hours later than you thought it was. That's because you were having an experience from your senses, which means that you were very present to what you were experiencing and what you were doing. So you weren't thinking or analyzing anything. You were having an experience through your sensories, which is meditation. And that is when you go into a very calm state. And you don't want to leave that state. You'll do anything to stay in that experience. And that's a meditation. And that's how a baby is born. We're all born like that. We're born sensory beings. So we're born in a meditation. We're born in that very pure state of beingness with no mind. And then things happen, life happens. We get the different indoctrinations of what we should say and what we shouldn't say. But actually, we're born pure and we can go back to a state of being pure.
That sounds so refreshing. It really does. So a question I have for you, this came up with Roland. We just had a show together. When we're on our journey, we're talking about political correctness, but we're also talking about finding inner peace, really. Many times, what comes up as we're in the course of our day, in the course of our life, making plans, is that dreaded question, what if? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if nothing happens? What if? And then we become so consumed with it that we don't even look around and see what's going on. We're down this tunnel. And I really admire the people that don't do that, because that really is a gift. What can you share with us about taking that unknown, that uncomfortableness, that anything might happen, and not making it a priority?
Well, that's how stress and anxiety resides. What you've just described is anxiety. What if this? What if that? What if the other? And what that means is that the mind is very occupied. All the thoughts are very occupied here, and the mind is full with what if that happens, what maybe, and it's sort of a woulda, coulda, shoulda. If it's looking at the past, or it's a what if, what maybe, what could be if it's looking at the future. And this is where anxiety and depression reside. It's looking at the past things or the future things. When we move into the present moment, there is no what ifs. There is only peace and only calm. And I know this sounds a little bit bizarre, because we tend to be in that state of thinking, what about this? What about that? What if I did this? What if I did that? But what if you started living rather than existing through the thoughts of your mind? And if you're not sure what it looks like to live and to be present and to feel, look at a new baby. They are not thinking, they are not analyzing, they are completely being. And they will laugh and they will smile and they will cry if they need something, and they will sleep like a baby. This is where that phrase comes from. And so the what ifs and what maybes, it's because the mind is busy with thoughts because it's frightened to feel. And the feelings and emotions reside in the second chakra, that's below the belly button. And when things and life happens that's difficult, or we get hurt, something happens to us, we tend to naturally, and it's not something we decide, shut down the feelings and emotions, and the body protects us. It shuts down the feelings and emotions, and the escape route is the mind. So then you go up into the mind, and then you exist through the mind rather than living and experiencing life. And it's almost like you're on autopilot rather than experiencing life as we were meant to experience it.
I love that expression, that are we living or just existing? And we do have a comment, by the way. Hello, Adrian. If you believe in yourself, then you can do anything.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Adrian.
So, Caroline, as a follow-up to what you just shared, I think what's truly interesting is that when we realize that we're spending our time looking back or predicting what's going to happen in the future, we're really wasting our time. And time is the only thing that we have. But the
We're not
mind,
living.
the mind just wants to do what it wants to do. So we have to actually learn how to control our mind.
Well, it's a good analogy. Control. That's what the mind does. The mind controls our ship, our body, and our experiences. And usually we want to experience life like a child. You know, there's many people that will say, I just want to run around like a child and feel carefree and play. And the child doesn't think through anything. They won't think through going out, there's a muddy puddle, and they just want to splosh and splish in the puddle, and they don't think about putting a rain mac on and Wellingtons. They just go out and they just want to splosh in the puddle and get very muddy wet in the water, and they don't think about the consequences. They just want to experience. And that's how we were all born, experiencing and sensory. And all that happens when we are in that state of flux of thinking, analyzing, we're not experiencing what's truly there. And what I mean by that is, you know, when I was living in London, it would be a 5-minute walk up to the tube station, and it would probably take me 10 minutes because I would see a dog and I'd like sort of coo and gar at the dog and want to stroke the dog, and then I would walk a little bit further and I'd hear a little child laughing and giggling, and then I'd see a squirrel, and then I might smell, you know, the grass because it had just been mown, and I would feel the sensory of spring, summer. And I would just be looking around and experiencing from my senses. And by the time I got to the tube station, my 5-minute walk was actually doubled. But I'd had an experience, and I was experiencing life, and I felt good and I felt energized just by living in that space. That many times now we're so caught up with what we should be doing, what we should be thinking, and what we should be saying and what we shouldn't be saying, that our mind is so busy that we don't even decide to stop and think about just being.
Stop. Oh, yes. Let's think about being. Okay, so let's go back to political correctness. You get together with somebody who you know has opposite views. You stay away from the topics. You do whatever you can to avoid the conversation, and they bring it up. And you're in a public forum. There are other people there. How do you handle it? Do you get up and walk away? Do you look at them and say, shh? What do you do?
Well, I had one of my friends I'd not seen for a long time. Last week we met up for my birthday, and she asked me. She said she has a friend that she sees, and she doesn't see her very often. But when she sees her, she has an onslaught of lots of very racist comments, and she doesn't know what to say, and she doesn't feel like that, and she was feeling very uncomfortable about always being in that situation. And she's never been feeling anything about like what this person has been describing and saying. And she says she feels quite upset. She feels quite angry that she has this intolerance and she's so racist, and said some very, very derogatory remarks. And she said, how do I cope with it? And I turned around and I said, listen, literally be open to listen with compassion. And another question that I asked her was, is this person living alone? And she said, yes, she does. And I said, that could be another reason, that she just needs to get her words out. And she doesn't need you to agree. She doesn't need you to respond. She just needs to download. She just needs to say it all and get it all out so that she can feel freer. And women have more to say than what men do. They have more words to say and express than what the average man does. And so from that perspective, she's just got to get it all out without comments. And my friend said, well, it's just really hard sometimes to hear what she has to say. And I says, be open when you listen. Listen with compassion, because there is some anger there that she's feeling. Something's happened to her and she just wants to download and say everything, and she will then be calmer and more peaceful.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that I've been in a situation like that. I think one of the challenges is when the other person is so filled with anger and they're getting it off their chest, right? Where does it go? So you're like now absorbing it, and you don't want to absorb it, but you could be in a great state of mind, in a great mood, and then someone has all this anger. And by the time you leave, you're the one with the anger and they feel better. And your anger could even be, well, I spent this time and this money to get together with you, and all you did was complain. So is there a point where you can say, we talk about asking permission, setting boundaries. So if someone's not an elevated listener and they don't know what we're talking about here, can you actually say to the other person, I really can't take anymore. It's enough. Or can you say something to protect yourself?
You can set your own boundaries energetically without needing to say, because that will just get the other person's back up, and they will feel simply that you're not being there for them and you're another person that's going against them. And there is a reason for them downloading. It isn't nice. So I have a few recommendations. The first one is to limit the time that you spend with them, and literally say, I'm sorry, I have to go. I've got another meeting to go to, or I've left something in the oven, or say something that means that you're not there for so long. Or the other thing is to choose how many times that you see this person, because if this person is not in alignment with you in terms of how you're feeling and where you want to spend your time, then limit the time that you spend with them. And the third thing is to be open to listen and keep your boundaries very secure, because if you have high frequency boundaries, if you are in a space of high vibration, then those people just won't come in, because we are in a state of, we are vibration, we are frequency. That was scientifically proven by Einstein. Everything is energy, E equals mc squared. So if everything is energy, when we are angry, that is a very low vibration energy. So it is important to keep our vibration high by being in a space of gratitude. And there might be something that this person is bringing into your life. Otherwise, why are they there? And the other aspect of this that I want to bring up is, have you heard the term energy vampire? Some people don't know how to create their own energy. So they're very, very negative and very angry. And when they literally spew all onto you, they steal your energy. So be aware of that and hold your own energy so they can't take it from you. And if you're then sparring with them and going in what I would call a tennis match, responding to what they're saying and almost arguing with them for your perspective and your point of view, they gain their energy, they steal their energy from you, which is why you feel drained. And that's one of the reasons why I'm suggesting and recommending and inviting you to be open, give compassion, because you're not just giving compassion to the other person, you're giving it to yourself too.
Excellent points. Thank you, Caroline. We do have a follow-up from Adrian on LinkedIn. When I meet up with friends, there are two topics that are banned from talking about. That is football and politics.
Good one. I agree.
Now, you talked about energy vampire, and I think also this actually just happened to me. I got together with some family members and I couldn't believe, I was like, blah, 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 blah. And I realized it's because I am alone and I'm usually listening. And so I apologized. I said, I know I'm really talking a lot. And they're like, no, we're here for you. which was very nice. But I was aware of the fact that there's a lot bottled up that I didn't realize. And maybe that's what's happening in some of these other scenarios. Maybe people live alone, like you had said, and they have something that's going on. They have no one to talk about it to. And so that's a real great reason to get a therapist, right? Or to get a stuffed animal or a pet.
Or a cushion. Punch the cushion. Well, that's actually a strategy. You know, one of the therapy strategies, if you're feeling really angry, to punch a cushion, you know, to exude that energy that you feel, or to scream or shout. I actually did a meditation once. It was quite a dynamic meditation where there was 20 minutes of you shouting and screaming, 20 minutes of you crying, and 20 minutes of you laughing. And it was quite draining. I just thought, you know what, I've done it. I won't do it again.
It's exhausting.
Well, yeah, it was. It was kind of, I think it was about 2 hours. And
God.
by the time I got to the end of all these different things, so one bit was crying for 20 minutes. And even if you didn't feel like crying, you had to pretend to cry. And in the end, you were crying. What it did was to allow all the tension of all the different emotions to come up, to release, so that you felt clear. And many people don't know how to release their emotions. So it comes out in anger. And when it comes up that way, then they don't know what to do with it. It's almost displaced. So they just like throw it onto you. It's called transference, when they're literally just chucking their stuff onto you because they don't know what else to do with it. What I do is I dance it out, or I chant it out, sing, or I sort of put my 80s music on and I dance. And, you know, I have different strategies, but some people will go to the gym. Some people will have some sport that they do. So we'll all have our different things that we do. Some people go for a run, and by the time they've come back from their run, the anger that they felt, or the experience, the negative energy that they were feeling, just literally dissipates. So it is important to manage our emotions, because if we don't, they manage us.
So well stated. Why do you think I work out 3 or 4 times a day?
I dance and sing, you work out.
Yes. So Caroline, here's a question that I have for you. So I know from a couple of people, and this is a long time ago, they felt anxiety and depression, and they both ended up going to see a psychiatrist and got put on different medications. And the one, I can't think of the name of it, but what she said was that she didn't feel anything. So she went from feeling all these emotions to kind of being like this. Is that healthy? I mean, it sounds attractive, actually. Is it healthy to not feel the emotions?
It's a strategy. And without being derogatory, this is what they do. You know, if you're having very high levels of emotion, high levels of anxiety, high levels of stress, high levels of emotion, erratic emotion, then it can be treated with chemicals in terms of medication to balance the chemical imbalance in the brain. And I know that is their strategy. It's not wrong. It is a way to handle it. And when you are feeling nothing, you are feeling nothing. That might sort out the erraticness of the emotions. Is it something that you want to be if you're not feeling anything? And that's the question that I would ask. Is that a way that you want to live, that you feel nothing, no emotions at all? And it is a space, I feel, that it's what they do to handle the imbalance in the brain. And there are other ways to handle that. It is just one strategy.
And when a person isn't feeling those emotions, does that mean that the level of stress has come down?
Yeah, it does.
Interesting. What do you think of it as a strategy?
I want to be very politically correct here. What do I think? Well, I don't agree with numbing the person, because that's what it actually is. And for some people, it is a way to cope. It's a coping mechanism. And when I went into a depression and they offered me some antidepressants, I didn't feel comfortable that they were even suggesting it to me as a first measure. And I feel that there are many, many people that are given that almost as the general way to cope with depression or with an overplay of emotions. And so my suggestion is to look at why, which is why I do the work that I do, because when I felt those very strong emotions of sadness, loneliness, and depression and anxiety, I didn't feel good and I wanted to feel okay. So I just looked for alternative ways to handle what was very common. And what was being displayed to me in terms of going down the medical route was medication. And I was never really strong on medication. And I stopped looking at the medical route when I was 27, and I worked at Holland & Barrett as a manager. I was one of their top managers because I thought they had so many wonderful solutions. So I've been living life without any medication since I was 27. So that's more than half of my life. So I'm going to have a strong opinion. And yet I wouldn't say it's the right way for everybody, because everybody has to make their choice of what's right for them.
Very true. And let's also be honest, with all the things going on in the world, there are some people who don't know where their next meal is coming from, or they don't have a roof over their head, or they just lost their job. I mean, that's real stress. So if you were to say, well, why are you stressed out? I mean, obvious, right? So I also wonder if when you are not so emotional, you're not feeling all the emotions, are you able to get more done because your emotions are no longer in the way?
Yes. And there is a school of thought that when the emotions are down, then your emotional intelligence is up, so that you're able to make better decisions and have clearer focus. So your intelligence is higher. When you're emotional, you can't think straight, and the mind is very, very cloudy. And it's very difficult to make good decisions and actually be productive. And so this is another strategy when the emotions are down, that you will be a lot more productive in terms of your daily life. But it also makes you not feel anything. So if you're not feeling anything, you'll feel like you're on autopilot, almost as if you're, I have an expression, going through the motions without the emotion. When you're at like a football match, for instance, you can get very rowdy and rary and, and, oh yes, goal, and feel very excited. And that raises your emotional level in a good way, in the heart-centered way. Then if they've lost something, then your emotion can go down. And this is something that used to happen after a match back in the 70s in the UK. I don't know what it was like in America, but there would be fights. People would come out and they'd be so angry that they would pick a fight on the opposing team, And this was a way to get rid of the anger and the frustration that they were feeling. And so I feel it's important to feel and to manage those experiences of what we feel.
Excellent. I definitely agree with everything that you said. And you are just a wealth of knowledge and inspiration. We're coming to the end of our show already.
My gosh.
I know, it just flies by. Can you share with our audience? I know you have a special offer, which is insane, but how can you help people? And again, who is it that you can help?
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. It is very insane. I'm offering 1 hour consultancy over the phone, audio, and it's to help you with 3 to 4 symptoms. And it's a very quick process, without your story, without lots of the detail, just actually giving me your symptoms, and we will break through 3 to 4 symptoms. And that's an hour, and I'm offering that hour for a crazy £50. And it is ridiculous because you might have anxiety, you might have a physical ache and pain, you might have a relationship issue, and you'll get them cleared and have some insight and awareness as to what's going wrong. And it won't just be of the present situation, it will be the root cause, because I'm working with chakra psychology and root cause therapy. And so we can unpack your blueprint. And it is very, very exciting. Now, we're all walking around with situations. It might be a relationship issue, it might be a bereavement issue, it might be physical aches and pains, and they all have relevance to what's not being dealt with in your life. And you can reach me to take advantage of my incredible offer on No More Stress at live.co.uk, or you can call me internationally, +44 if you're local, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to helping you break through your blueprint and the patterns that create your everyday stress so that we can bust your stress together.
Beautiful, Caroline. Thank you. This is a crazy offer. You need to take advantage of it right now. Caroline is a genius. You will be living instead of existing. So thank you, my dear friend, for being here tonight, your time, my afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you for our next episode.
It's always fun. We go so deep here. Thank you so much, Dr. JACALYN. I look forward to seeing you at the end of the month.
Absolutely. And I'll see you for Woman's Prerogative
on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Bye-bye. Please do reach out to Caroline. She really is terrific at what she does. She's helped me so much, especially when my mom had dementia. And then when she passed away, Caroline was a true friend and was really there for me. And I know she can help you as well. We are signing off for our next show. And right now we're going to go to our sponsors. Please do take a look. They really have value that they bring as well. And we will see you again for our next episode. In the meantime, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That's USA Global TV. You can also go to our Roku station and our Amazon Fire station, and that is USA Global TV and Radio. Thanks for now, everyone. Bye.
USA Global TV and Radio, in partnership with Dr. JACALYN LLC, present Amazon #1 best-selling author, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Dr. JACALYN KERBECK is a certified life, career, and executive coach who teaches people how to listen at an elevated level through her courses and her books. Dr. KERBECK teaches her clients how to open their hearts and express themselves through their creative genius. In her children's book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, The Listening Mentor, Dr. KERBECK teaches children and their families how to listen at an elevated level. Dr. KERBECK has worked with clients across the world to guide them in how to express themselves and communicate at a highly effective level. Join our team of elevated listeners so you can listen without judgment, without providing a solution, without interruption, and without stealing the stage. To order your books today, go to drjacalyn.com or Amazon.